We're live. That's
Hey,
awesome.
we are live.
The first thing that we do, though, Charlie, don't feel too badly about it. Is we awkwardly share everything out on our phones, and we've made like a thing of that at the beginning. We're
Mm.
so professional. We're very high level production, as you can tell. Um, so if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm curating the comments that I can see and questions and things like that. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Gear You Hear. I'm Emiko with my co-host Scott the Pedal Guy, and today we have a very, very, very special guest with us. However, before we get to introductions and questions and taking questions and comments from our viewers, we want to thank everybody for being here as usual, and to let you know that the Gear You Hear is an educational space primarily. We talk gear, we talk music creation, we talk artist life. So we don't really get into religion or politics or divisive stuff per se. There's no bullying, there's really no hate speech, there's no sexual harassment or harassment of any kind. Scott will tell you this as a definitive that if anybody says anything bullying or BS, we will read it out on air, read out your name, and then bounce you out because it's a one strike you're out zone. That being said, there's also no stupid questions, and differences of opinion are absolutely welcome as long as they're respectful and you keep it classy. And with that, Scott the Pedal Guy, what do we have today?
Well, we have a very special guest today. We have Charlie from Anthrax wearing his very cool WandaVision shirt and here in full force to talk about all things Anthrax and, of course, talk about some of that groovy gear that's behind him and
Yes.
talk about just a whole bunch of different subjects today. So I hope you're ready for a really great conversation because, Charlie, this is a real treat to have you on the show. I think I can speak for both me and Emiko when I say we're both really big fans of the band and the history and the legacy and all that. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys be able to get back on the road after all this COVID nonsense is over with. And I know you're recently recovered from COVID a few months back, and I hope you're feeling better.
I'm all good now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Let's just go ahead and kick it off. So, Emiko, you want to kick off the first question? Or how would you like to start?
This is super organic.
Aha! So we're just gonna volley the ball back and forth here.
I tell you what, because I'm a songwriter. All right, so my questions to you, Charlie, are going to be mostly about coffee and songwriting and art because
I've got my coffee right here.
That's my sphere. And I do have a proposition for you later, which I'll do on air regarding your coffee, which I think you'll find to be really funny, but I won't leave.
Okay.
So
okay.
So you are known as a drummer, but you also play guitar and you write songs. And I did a little bit of digging, and you also play some very unorthodox instruments.
I do.
That's what I found, unless somebody lied to me. Yeah, I've seen I don't know, other keyboards and theremins and things like that. Is that correct or incorrect?
Well, it's like I've always wanted to be a more accomplished keyboard or piano player, but it just doesn't come natural like the way drums and guitar do.
Mm-hmm.
I find that I really have to think when I sit down and play piano. Whereas guitar or drums, it's just like second nature. But I figure something out.
Right.
If I hear it, I can just figure it out. But piano, man, that takes me a while.
Oh, see, that's interesting because for me, I can go this way, but I can't go this way, and I sure as heck can't do this. So, how have you find that broadening your ability to play instruments and understand different instruments has helped your songwriting?
Well, it's like this, if I sit down at the piano, a different type of style or sound or melody will come out. And just because I'm playing, you know, basically the rhythm, and then I'm just playing kind of lead with my right. So
Right.
if I hear something, I'll try and figure it out. Whereas guitar, I just want to basically attack it,
Right.
and same with drums, it's that primal thing that's inside of me when I get behind a kit.
Sure. Gotcha. So do you have any have you ever taken a song that you started on one instrument and you sort of like hit a wall with, you're like, man, why is this not working? I can't finish it. I don't understand. And then you transferred over to a different instrument. You're like, oh, it's actually meant to start here and then grow and then come back to the other instrument and sort of adapt it? Has that ever happened for you?
Actually, there's been a few songs in the Anthrax catalog that have started out with a beat,
Mm-hmm.
and a riff has kind of formed from the beat or from that rhythmic pattern that I had on the drums, and it just kind of, because a lot of times when I'm playing guitar, I guess without knowing it, I am being very percussive on it, you know.
Yeah.
So if a rhythm is not just in 4/4, if it's in like a 7/4 time, I always try and pick the rhythm, but then play the rhythm with my kicks, you know, like stuff like that. Where I always find it more interesting to do it that way rather than just, you know, play straight. You know, I like to split it up a little bit. Like our first ever single was a song called "Soldiers of Metal,"
Mm-hmm.
and in that song, the kick drum pattern did a pattern like, and it wasn't something that was just like planned. It's just like, okay, I hear this idea and let's build that around the kick pattern. So
Right.
there you go.
Nice. Okay, I have one more question in this round before I turn it over to Scott. Because you're talking about kick patterns and the complexity and the detail that goes into them. And a lot of people, I think, they can feel it when they're listening to it, right? But unless you're into metal or into prog, or unless you are a drummer or a bass player, oftentimes folks will miss the intricacy of it, but they'll feel it and they won't know why. And I find, for me, like you're, when I listen to a lot of metal and prog and even heavy rock stuff, there's a lot of basis in classical music. Have you ever made that bridge between the two?
You know, one of my favorites is Stravinsky. Like I'll drive around just listening to certain pieces that
Uh-huh.
he's done because I always felt he was the most metal
Yeah, right. Yes.
of all of them. And there's the one was the rite of passage that he did that actually it sounds, if you listen to that whole piece, you'll hear a part in that piece that sounds exactly like the Jaws theme. Dun dun
Right.
dun 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 dun. It's exact, and I'll never forget when I heard it. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Jaws! That's where he got it from." You know, not Stravinsky, but John Williams. So,
Fair enough.
yeah, Stravinsky. I don't think he. Um, so yeah, you know, sometimes, and I remember when I was really young, my mom took me to see Fantasia, and the music in that was also very kind of, it was epic, but yet it had this vibe to it, and it was, to me, it's, I would say it's like very metal the way it's
Yeah, the
structured, you know.
Mickey the sorcerer part and the dancing hippos I felt like really stuck out.
Yeah, and Night on Ball
Ball
Mountain, you
Mountain.
know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
big
Mm-hmm.
the big fucking demons, was so cool.
Yeah. Totally. Okay, Jeff,
Awesome.
your
Oh,
turn.
I think
No, no,
I think
no,
I
no.
just
We're
That's okay.
okay.
You're fine. You're
We're okay. We're fine. It is what it is. And of course, you know, when you're doing YouTube channels and all that, you've always got to be so careful about what's going to tick people off and what's not going to tick people off, or what's going to get you demonetized or monetized and all those wonderful things. So it's all good. Hey, if they monetize Glenn Fricker, they monetize anybody. So we're okay, because that guy's he's always a riot to listen to. So for me, this is really awesome. And we even got a couple of questions here from Johnny Two Chains here in a minute. But you know, Anthrax has been like a constant source in my life as far as the music has gone over the years. Going all the way back to, like, you know, I Am the Law and I'm the Man and all that. And then of course, you know, the one thing that was really a kind of a flashpoint, and I'd love to get some feedback from you on this, is Bring the Noise, because it, in my mind, was the real first, I think, legitimate crossover from rap to metal. Although there were obviously, you know, examples before that, like I was saying, Walk This Way a little while ago, or, you know, or I'm the Man or something like that. But bringing Public Enemy to it, and then like doing something that was, I think, really still relevant to this day. Like you listen to it, it still has a timeless quality to it. And what was that experience like?
It's one of the things in our career that I always speak very highly of, where when I think about it, I have great memories about it, because we we took a musical chance, basically,
Mm-hmm.
with something like that, whereas other bands probably would have never gone that way. I mean, we can talk about Aerosmith and Run DMC. We could talk about Blondie,
Sure.
um, you know, but I think our version was more in the aggressive side of like rock or
Mm-hmm.
hard rock, where Public Enemy was like, if we were like thrash metal and metal, and we appeal to a certain type of fan, and I think Public Enemy was the same thing. So a lot of people who liked rock music, who dabbled in rap, really loved Public Enemy. So
Mm-hmm.
when we did that kind of mashup, I think people embraced it, and some people didn't embrace it. Um,
Right.
but we wound up doing a tour with Public Enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and to this day, it stands out as one of my favorite tours to do, because every day was exciting. Every show was exciting. It was the changing of a style of music.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really was like a watershed moment for what was considered rock, or even rap, and it definitely broke down doors in our side of the world, because a lot of people became rap fans because of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It had that kind of an impact on so many of my friends that they heard the song and everything. Um, and then, for a while, I was kind of like just listening to whatever was coming on the radio or whatever, and just kind of meandering through the years and all that. And then It Part One came out a few years ago, and when they put Antisocial right there in the middle of the movie, I mean, that was just like a slap in the face to everybody to say, hey, this was really, this is a great song. Remember how great of a song this was. And it just works so perfectly for the scene. And I had to say that was like one of those moments where it was like, even my wife, who's not really into, she's not really into metal at all. Even she got into that. Thought that was pretty awesome.
Well,
So,
the funny thing about that is I usually get notified about someone wants to use a poster or a shirt or the song, and
mhm.
uh, when this happened, it was about a year or so prior, so I totally forgot about it. So I took my daughter. We went to see the movie, and I saw the kid wearing the T-shirt, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember now." And then later on, the song played, and I didn't even catch it. She caught it. She's like, "Dad, do you hear what song that is?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I forgot about that." So it was like I was completely surprised, and I stood up in the theater, and I'm like, thank you."
Nice. Nice.
Excellent. So I'm gonna volley it back to you, or do we want to try to answer any of Johnny's questions here?
Well, I actually had a before we get to audience questions, I actually had a question. Since Charlie, since you brought up your daughter, if it's okay, I know you took her to the Grammys a
I
while
took her
ago,
to
right?
I took her to
Yeah,
3 or 4 Grammys.
I'd love to know, because I have a 10-year-old little boy, and obviously your daughter's much older than 10 now.
Yeah,
But how has it been for you holistically, like letting her be exposed to that, encouraging her in the idea that, I mean, watching dad live his dreams, right? Like music, and especially the type of music that Anthrax is so legendary for, is something that's obviously not mainstream pop, right? So what is that like for you as a parent, and as really as a human being, like to be able to
well,
watch your daughter grow up with that, and to see her start to understand the world in that way?
I mean, she was 6 months old when she was, at her first show, uh, and I always, I didn't want to be one of those parent or musicians that were gone all the time, and you never see your kids all of a sudden they're like 18 years old, and it's like, where did that time go? I missed it. I didn't want to miss it. And it goes back to when I was a kid. When I was 5, we lost our dad. So
Mm.
I remember being just so kind of traumatized about that later on, because I never got to know him, and I didn't want that to happen with my daughter. So um, there would be tours that I would talk to the school and the teachers, and I would take her with me on tour, and she would just do like kind of like remote learning.
Like packet work. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the teachers were always so amazing about it. They were always encouraging, to take her, let her see this instead of not reading about it. Let her go and smell it,
Yeah, yeah.
and and then that's how I think it should be. If you're a traveling musician, or if you're a traveling actor, or whoever you are, you should be
Mm,
able to take your kids out of school and let them enjoy life, but still get the work
Learn.
done.
Yeah. Amen.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Everybody hear
but
that out there?
but it's funny
Take
you
care of
mentioned the
family.
the Grammy Awards, and I took so that was the first time I took her.
Mhm.
It was such a great experience, and then we got nominated 4 times after that again. So she went with me every time, and one of the best stories that we always talk about was, so we did the red carpet, and then you go to each interviewer, and behind us, like following, doing the same thing, was Ringo. And I'm such a huge Beatle fan. uh all of a sudden there was a stop, and Ringo was suddenly right here, and Ringo doesn't shake hands. So I said, "Hi, Ringo, how are you?" Blah, blah. He said, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And I go to put my hand out, but he doesn't shake hands. He bumps the elbow.
Mhm.
As he did that, my hand went up, and I knocked his glasses off, and
Oh,
and uh and it was like a scene from Help. Like I'm trying to kill Ringo, if you know the movie Help. um But it was funny. We all laughed, and then later on during the show, we're sitting there, and my daughter says to me, "Dad, I have to go to the bathroom." So I said, "Okay, let's go." So we walk out, but we had to wait in the wings until there was a commercial break.
Mhm.
So okay, so we're waiting in the wings, and out of the corner of my eye, who comes walking over? Paul McCartney. And my daughter's all dressed up, and he stops, and he goes, "Oh my God, look at you." And he pinches her cheek. And I'm just standing there like this, like, "Oh my God." And he's talking to her, he's having a conversation with her. And he said, "Hi, and this must be Dad." And then, of course, we started talking. And I always joke about it. I think I just said, "I love you," or something. And that was it. It was just a moment. So
Wow.
well, I'll never forget that.
That's
that's
great.
that's awesome.
But Ringo
So
has glasses off, so
That's brilliant. Um,
that's definitely going to be one for the books for originality for sure.
yeah.
yeah.
Um, so I'd like to ask you a couple of gear questions, and
Sure.
I'll keep it easy here because I know you've been really busy with recording and doing a bunch of other stuff. So I noticed behind you there you have a Head Rush gig board,
Yep.
and I know our friends at Head Rush are all about this. The event today, and I'm really grateful that they were able to put us together so that we could do this because they have a great artist roster. But as soon as I saw you were available, I was like, yeah, I definitely would love to interview Charlie. So how did you come to get to know the guys over at Head Rush and make it all work?
I was in AM one year,
Mhm.
and I had some time to myself to actually go and look at things.
Mhm.
Uh, and I went and saw the Head Rush uh, booth, and I watched people playing it, and I saw some demos, and I was just like, this sounds like one of the greatest things that I need to know about, and this would help me a lot on tour. Like, um, days off, I'm in my room, thinking about playing stuff. And if I could take this with me, it's so small and compact that everything I need is in there. And I
Mhm.
could just plug that in and go through my Mac and just make demos or just come up with, riffs. So I met everybody from Headrush that day, and that was it. And when I got home, I got some gear and I just started playing with it and coming up with presets and just having fun with it.
Excellent. And for those of you who are Headrush users out there, there is a new update on the way. It's looking like possibly a week to 2 weeks before it releases, but I've been using it and it is pretty substantial as far as like some of the new effects that are going to be in there and new amps. And from what I understand, there's going to be more. Updates as we go through the year, so it's not going to be a one and done sort of thing. And Charlie, I know you've got your wish list of what you'd like to see happen in the future.
Yeah.
And care to
I
share?
do. Well, I would like more amp configurations. I would like more effects, whether it be just stomp boxes, because I love
Mhm.
putting different stomp boxes together. I'm looking to maybe have something comparable to like an Electric Mistress, a really good like distortion pedal that I could have a couple of, a graphic EQ on it to, take out some of those high mids that annoy me, you know
Mhm.
and just things like that, and just more user friendly. Just take it and go, take it and go.
Exactly. Yeah, I think some of that, you never know. They're always coming up with something new to surprise us. So my hope
Yeah.
is that because they did like the Looper board made an amazing change last year when they updated the firmware and they went from the version 1 to version 2, and it was like a whole new board. Like the GUI was completely rewritten. Everything looked absolutely in the here and now rather than kind of in the past a little bit. And I'm kind of hoping that that's the facelift they're going to give to the Headrush eventually, moving forward. So I've obviously I have voiced my opinion on that. And well, we'll see what happens.
Cool.
We'll see what happens. But
I'm excited about it.
so what other gear, it's kind of like your go-to stuff in the studio?
If I'm doing like demos, I'll use my Headrush gear, or
Mm-hmm.
I'll use amplitude stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'll mic the cabinet too.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many little stomp boxes that they're all sitting there, kind of like as museum pieces. You know what I mean? I don't even use them that much anymore because
Mm-hmm.
everything's inside of this box or inside of there. And I like the way it sounds too. You know, I mean, if I have a problem, I could just fine tune something, and there it is. So
Right.
it's made it a lot easier, and it's made it a lot quicker to get to where I want to go. You
Mm-hmm.
know, instead of man, I'm getting so much feedback from all these boxes, and what's that hum? You know what I mean?
Right.
Things like that, and actually being on tour, taking this with me, it's a lifesaver. You know.
I bet. I bet. How many do you keep on the road with you at one time in case there's like any of them crap out or anything?
Oh, I just have this one that I'll take.
Okay.
And, I'll pack it with my suitcase, and then days off, or even some days in the dressing room, I'll take it and find a corner and just go zone out.
Excellent. Hey, Miko, I'm going to read this question from Scott. What do you think?
Yeah, I was writing back to him on our behalf. We've got an audience question for you, Charlie.
Okay.
So Scott Haldren wrote, "What do you think about the current state of rock and metal?"
Well, I can't base anything on the year 2020 because um,
Fair enough.
it was a very depressing year, and I don't think. I mean, I know a few bands put out records, but they all
Mm-hmm.
got sucked up in that vacuum that is the
Mm.
COVID, vacuum.
Right.
So, um, I can't bash the bands or the musicians for 2020 because we all hit hard. Um, and I know our band, we were working on a record prior to this all going down, and then we just stopped because we don't want to put anything out during this. You know, our thing was like, if we can't go out and play this, then we're not going to put it out. So I know I a few times a week I'll get comments about like some people. You know, I started doing these quarantine jams back in like February, March,
Mhm.
and like nobody was doing that, and I just started doing them, and I got some of my friends from other bands to kind of play on it with me and just have fun because I'm sure they were experiencing the same type of depression that I was experiencing, you know, because back in February nobody knew where this was going. You know, people thought, oh, maybe
Right.
by the summer we'll be back to doing things, you know, but you know, maybe if things were a little better, maybe we could have been in a better place, but it's not. So I started doing these quarantine jams, and I would always see a comment or two from some negative asshole about, oh, I said that. Sorry,
No, it's okay. It's
uh,
okay.
It's
Don't worry.
okay.
from
You're
some
fine.
negative person about like,
You can't unsay it, Charlie. Just
okay, I know,
and run with it.
as if it's like the Jedi mind trick. If he repeats it in a different way, they won't know it. And you get these people who are just like, stop with the cover songs. Let's get to some original stuff. And it's like, no, not doing it.
Right.
Not going to do it. So I'm going to have fun and entertain myself and whoever, and I'm going to do it this way until we can get back to doing what we do. And that's it. And I don't even know if I answered the question. I just went off somewhere else.
That's okay. That's okay. But so the current state of rock and metal presently is not one to be judged, as you're saying, because of COVID.
Yeah. I mean, people are doing what they have to do, but I don't think the real good stuff is going to come out until this is behind us completely, and then people, I think, could think more clearly, and then they will take what had happened and channel it through music, and then that's the way it's going to go. And you know, when you go see a band after this is all over, you're going to have to sit through at least two or three COVID related songs. It's like I wrote this one when I was, you know, in a hospital waiting room, you know.
I'm hearing a whole medley like at one of these metal fests of like people coming up playing like something about breaking free from chains and resurrection and like all this freedom stuff coming out. You're like, yeah, okay, we get it. But
Yeah.
you make a good point that this might be the time to sort of start feeling those emotions so that when people move out of this, that's what they're writing about, and the performance aspect and the connectivity is going to be elevated.
Well, it's probably it's going to be a very cathartic type of thing because not only do we have all the COVID stuff to write about, but we also have a whole bunch of other stuff to write about too. And I won't even go there because it's I think that's going to take up a lot of the
That's a
you know,
different show.
that's
Yeah,
a totally that's the
Mhm.
that's the
Yeah.
other show.
That's
So
the other show.
so if people say, God, I'm just not inspired, I have nothing to write about, I'm be like, really?
You know, speaking from at least from what you know I do because I run a dealership, so I'm shipping orders all the time, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to when it's all over because people have been our business went up big time as soon as you know COVID happened because I was one of the only guys shipping in the United States, so especially here in Los Angeles, and our business went way up, and I've just got to imagine that there's going to be a ton of music because people just had this overwhelming urge to write music and do something in their studio while they were in lockdown and in quarantine and all that. So my hope is that we're going to hear some interesting stuff. Hopefully not all the COVID symphony, but you know, perhaps you know, COVID opus #1 in C minor.
Right.
Wait, which one's the saddest of all keys? I forget what Nigel.
D minor.
D minor. Okay, D minor. Yes, darling. So yes,
it's the saddest chord.
Oh, that'll just be the. Oh, I can just see Spinal Tap coming back and doing a reunion tour. Except they probably will need canes at this point. But it's still. I think I'm hoping that there will be some good stuff to come of all of this, and I hope that it will have. Musically, I hope it'll be better.
I would hope so, but who knows what's gonna come out, because I would say that when was it, like about a month or two ago, I had like Apple Music opened, and then usually they'll tell you like what's popular in pop, what's popular in this, what's popular in that. So one day I said, let me hear what's popular in pop music, who's there. And it was the same, like, I don't know, 8 people in it. And I listened to each one of them, and I was just like, this is the worst. If this is what's popular music, oh God, we're in so much trouble, because the melodies were just so like pedestrian, and it was just, it's just horrible. It's like no real thought, and then you go look, and it's like 20 people wrote this song.
Right. It's written by committee. I'll give you one better. This morning I was walking my dog before this interview, and I had on Spotify, and I won't say what artists they were, but sometimes I just like to listen to random, you just sort of hit random and you let stuff come on because you want to discover new music. And it was the pop, whatever the pop playlist was, every single song for about 10 songs, literally, because I walk her about 45 minutes, so I know they were all in the same key. I was like, and they were all in 4/4. I was like, what just happened? Is this some sort of weird, like Billy Crystal and the Oscars medley of tunes, or what's going on here?
Yeah, it's just nobody takes a chance. Like every once in a while, something will pop up that's like, oh, that's a good song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened in a while.
No.
That's true. It takes time, unfortunately. I mean, but you never have to worry about that with my iPod. I have a standing rule of my iPod Classic that you can borrow it if you want to, but you can't make fun of anything that's on there, because it really is a needle drop from hell, because it'll go everywhere across the spectrum. So I won't even say what I've been listening to, what I've been walking, because I might have to kick my own ass over that one.
iPod though, Scott.
Well, iPod, iPhone, it's all something. So I'm just having fun with it.
I know.
Scott Halgren has another question for us, and I love this question. What are some of your favorite memories of Dimebag Darrell?
Wow. The phone calls, his like 2 a.m. phone calls were always fun. And he would go off into different directions and stuff like that. The phone call would always start off with some kooky scenario. Like one time he called me up, he couldn't talk so well, and he was kind of mumbling, and I was like, dude, what happened? And he started to say like he had an infection in his mouth and he lost all his top teeth, so he couldn't talk. And I'm like, what? And it was just a gag. It was just winding me up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And he's like, got you going there for a bit, and it just like that type of stuff. And he always, when Dime was around, the party was around. Like the lights in the room, somehow, if it was a 60 watt bulb, it went to like 100 watt. So when he walked in the room, the lights just became brighter, and you just always had a good time when he was around. It was never just mellow. It wasn't sad. It was always pal. And those are my memories from him. Always something fun, always something good going down. And, we did like so many months on tour together, and every day was an adventure, and it was just a great time. And he was just one of the greatest guitar players, one of the greatest people, one of the greatest minds. His sense of humor was great, and he was just a good friend too.
Excellent. Excellent. Love it.
How beautiful. Johnny Two Chains has a pretty cool question for you. Well, it's sort of two questions in one, but he's asking about your songwriting methods. He wants to know if you target specific keys when you write, or if there are certain modes that you. I guess he's writing. Do you use the modes to? I think that's supposed to be to write. So I guess he's asking about your songwriting methodology.
It sometimes it goes in different ways. Like if I have a riff in my head, or if I was humming something,
Mm-hmm.
like if I'm out somewhere and I hum something in my phone, I'll take it back home and then kind of figure it out on guitar and then um, play it that way. Or sometimes I'll just go out and start playing guitar. And I always said this, sometimes I forget where I am. I just get possessed by the guitar, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen back to what I put down, and there's like some really killer stuff there. And then I try and take it and, well, this sounds like it could go with this piece, and this piece sounds like it could go with that piece, and then I put them together. But then there's other times when I'll leave my guitar in a different tuning, and I just leave it that way, and something will come out of it because it's tuned that way. Whether I drop the E string to D, or if I tune the whole guitar down a half step, you know. And I always said that there's like 3 or 4 guitars that I own that I feel like there's hundreds of songs in that guitar, and this is one of them. Every time I play it, a killer riff would come out, and so that's how it happens a lot of the times.
Mhm.
Nice. So Johnny Two Chains, now you know. Thank you for that.
Two
That's a pretty cool question.
2 chains.
2 chains, not 1 chain, not 3 chains, but 2 chains.
I love it.
I was actually just posting on that this morning that I've got this Gibson Explorer behind me, that 90s Explorer that I use, and I'm not a big Gibson fan.
Why do you
I
gotta
do.
say that, man?
I know I gotta
Come
say
on,
it, but
bro.
it's world
This-
world is opinionated. I have an
Charlie,
opinion,
this is what happens
but
because I'm a Gibson artist. And
but I feel like a
knows
rock
about
star.
this.
But I feel like a rock star every time I play that thing, because it just is so. It was set up so perfectly when I bought it, and I've never had to adjust a single thing on it at all. And the high gain pickup and the bridge is perfect. So I've been designing these Kiss presets this week, and it's just
Dude.
been so beautiful to make that all work. And just playing like Love Gun or Detroit Rock City or Strutter or whatever, and just having some fun with the riffs and remembering how good those riffs were.
You know,
So-
I always you just showed me the Explorer. I always wanted a tobacco sunburst Les Paul. I never
Sweet.
got one. At some point, I will get one, but I always wanted one of those. It just looks great.
They are cool. I've actually been to the Gibson factory. I have toured the Gibson factory, and I've watched them do all of their custom work. In fact, I held a guitar, Gibson guitar, that was valued at about $1 million. So I don't know if it's actually anybody would actually pay $1 million, but I've done my time with Gibson. Trust me, I have. It's for clearly other reasons, but I have other Gibson guitars in the arsenal here. I have an ES335 that's a family heirloom that if you can beat my Kung Fu grip, you can try to get it away from me, but I got a death grip on that son of a bitch that nobody's gonna ever. I don't know. Well, you were talking about your mercenary work earlier, so
hey, wait. Okay, before we get
that was an inside joke, but
before we get too far off track, Hi-Fi Turtle has a great question for you, Charlie.
Love it.
He's asking, is there a modern day artist that you'd like to genre crossover with, such as Public Enemy? Is there anybody now? Speaking of pop and other modern day artists?
I've always said that I always loved Lady Gaga. I think she's not just a pop artist, she's an artist. She can go and do something with Tony Bennett and kill it. She can go do something on the Academy Awards and kill it. I just think she has a really good sense of who she is, and how to like apply her voice to different forms of music, and it still works. So I think as far as artist goes, I think she's one of the best out there, and I'd love to do something with her.
Lady Gaga, if you're listening,
It'd be great.
This is
I'm gonna call her.
this is the chance right here, right now. This is the chance. That's awesome. Oh, I wanted to ask you, Charlie. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it publicly or not, but my understanding is that you've been working on like your own stuff. There's sort of a Charlie demo project that's happening in the studio that you're working on. Is that
Well,
correct?
I did. I'm doing. Everybody, not everybody, but people ask me all the time. They'll write, "Hey, would you put out all these quarantine jams?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to put them out on a vinyl, on vinyl, probably in the next month or two.
Okay.
We're going to put that out. We're just working on the cover, but it's not going to be all of them. Like the Rush ones won't be on this, but they'll be on a separate thing. Uh,
Mhm.
but for the most part, all the other ones will be on these. And everybody who joined in to help, they did such an amazing job too. Whether they sang on it, played bass on it, played a guitar on it, played
Nice.
keyboards. Those guys are just they're like amazing. And I was so happy that some of them, maybe I pushed them a little to do something that was out of their comfort zone. Um, but the thing that happened with all of us was we were all, in a situation that we're artists, we're singers, we're drummers, we're guitar players,
Mhm.
and we couldn't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
that's why I started doing it, because I was watching the news 24/7, and I was just getting so depressed
Sure.
every day. And my girlfriend Carla said, "You got to stop watching the news. You need to go and do something, be creative." And that's how it was.
Right.
I wish I had known. I have to. Scott was not expecting me to say this, but if I don't say it, I'll kick myself, and this will lead me into the coffee collaborative proposal question that I have. So just as well, and then I'll read out the thing that Dean Matson said for you, which is really lovely. Just a sweet compliment to you. But I wish I'd known about the quarantine jam stuff that you were doing, because one of our oh no, he was our first guest on our show. Mike Exeter, who produced works with Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, is a good friend of mine, and we did a quarantine jam thing as well with the guys from the Neil Morris band and a couple guys from
Oh,
Beard, and we did some David Bowie stuff. But I wish I'd known, because I would have found a way to finagle reaching out to him and be like, "Hey, come here,
you
let's
should
do this."
you should have.
But now quarantine's almost over, and frankly, if I have to sing another Bowie tune, I'm going to put my head through the wall. Um, but that aside, but here's the thing: is that through that, Mike and I started this mental health podcast that we did, and we had on this. I think, Scott, you probably know where I'm going with this. Do you?
I'm gonna let it take shape.
Okay, I'm not taking away from this, but
No, not at all.
our last guest from season 1 was Rob Halford.
Awesome.
And I know you and Halford were on the road. You guys did some
Yeah.
performances in 2019, right? Most recently, I think was
We
Deal.
we did a bunch of shows with Judas Priest, and we've actually took Rob's band Fight out on
Yeah,
tour.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
uh, uh, so Rob Halford, I mean, me growing up loving Judas Priest, to know Rob Halford is so cool. Like, I always do those things like, wow, man, if 15-year-old me knew that,
Then right,
then it would have been amazing.
right.
But Rob Halford is to me one of those singers that, like Freddie Mercury, Rob Halford, they just have this style and a way of singing a lyric that just totally makes you close your eyes and go, that's just awesome, you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
And he's
So
just one of those guys. But anyway, sorry,
so
went off.
no. So I'm about to go off, and you're about to go. What? I did not sign up for this on this interview. I wish they had told me ahead of time she was going to ask this question. So Rob and I got into this thing in our last chat with Mike about Rob was trolling me on social media and found out that I will be in possession of a very fast car soon. He said, "Well, I want to come. You give me a ride, and then you come to my house, and we'll cook together." And then we started talking about this cooking show, and with Rob Halford, it's always like assless chaps in an apron with a bunch of cats, and I was like, great, I'm there, brother. But I thought, if we do it, can we feature some of your coffee?
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
What do you think? This is the coffee proposition that I was getting at the beginning of the show. It's like, what if we did that?
Let's do that. Absolutely,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Okay.
You tell me when, and we'll set it up.
There's a jalapeno cornbread, and I forgot what else we were gonna make. Cupcakes and some other like baked good, super carby, fattening thing, but all that go very well with coffee.
I feel so left out.
No, we need people to come eat the food.
Well, I one of the things I've done because of all the quarantine stuff is I've been baking like a fiend.
Yes.
Over the last few months. So yes, I've been sending you all of the food stuff that I've been coughing up with. Coming thanks to the Great British Baking Show. All these horrible ideas are just popping in my head every friggin' day, and it's like, if I only had 2 hours to get this dough to rise, but then it's like, crap, I got to get back to doing music and doing more videos because I got to keep doing my stuff for my channels and for the store and everything.
That is the ultimate. What you just said, Scott, is the ultimate first world problem. That's as far as I'm going to take it, but it is. But Charlie, I do want to ask about the coffee because both Scott and I are like.
Oh yeah, I mean, my coffee that I have with Dark Matter, who are here in Chicago, we kind of married, and they produce the coffee now for me, and we've been doing it for years now, and it's just the best. I'm actually wanting to develop another blend that it's going to have, of course it's going to have coffee, but it's going to have another ingredient in it that you probably wouldn't think should be in the coffee, but it's let's just say it's kind of like a fungus, and I'm thinking about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, technically, does that, if it's a fungus, that leans on the side of vegetable, so it's like
Could
salads,
be
healthier, like vegetarian, vegan friendly kind of thing.
Yes, and it also helps with inflammation.
Yes.
These are all clues.
So it's all healthy coffee. There you go.
All healthy. Yes.
The one thing, because a buddy of mine has a coffee line he plays the keyboards for Leonard Skinner, and awesome. He has. Do you know Peter Keys? He has this. It's like Turkish mud espresso. The stuff is so dark, and he's always like, well, I need it. I got to stay awake in the studio. This is what I got to do. But he has some really interesting designs on his bags, and I wanted to comment that yours are done beautifully. Did you do those? Because I know you're an artist as well.
I painted the scenario, and a good friend of mine, Stephen Thompson, who does a lot of the Anthrax art for us, he came up with the actual images, and then Dark Matter took it, and then they improved on it too. To me, I wanted it to. One of my favorite Kiss album covers is Love Gun, and I wanted it to kind of look like I was like in the next room from Kiss posing, and I wanted to have that similar look to it. So that's how the bags kind of came out.
That's very cool. No,
it always leads back to Kiss somewhere,
Yeah.
That's good. Why not?
I'm hoping my video this week is going to be a well received. I've done these presets, and so in doing that, I had to listen to the entire catalog. I mean, even that song, even that video, which we'll try to forget about that, but the song's still catchy. But it's like you always come back to Kiss no matter what, because it's like one of those. It's like Jello, when it comes to hard rock.
Well, yeah, back when I was younger. I don't know when it happened, but I think it was in my sleep that, that K chip was implanted in my head. And ever since that, it always kind of falls back to Kiss, so I got to get that chip out.
No, you don't.
But I want to hear them. I want to hear those presets. I really want to hear them.
Absolutely. It's going to be on a different board this Friday, but I'm going to be redoing the entire series because I already did one for Zepp. I did one for Pink Floyd. I did one for Sabbath. I did one for Metallica. and I'm going to be going back and doing them with other boards too, including the headrush, obviously.
Awesome.
So it's going to be fun. I'll tell you also a funny little fun-filled story here, just really quick about the headrush. So I had a headphone adapter, looks very much like this one, that actually broke off in the headphone jack on my headrush. And it was, in fact, actually, I've got it right here. This is the part that came out willingly, because it was it was the one that was sticking out. So it was quite an adventure to actually take the other part out. So just so a quick little tip and trick for any headrush users out there that may encounter the same problem, whoever knows, you got to take a little screw with a Phillips screwdriver and just very carefully work the screw into the headphone jack until you can feel it grip the other part of the jack, and then just gently pull it out. And the whole thing comes out, because I actually broke open the board, and somebody called me a brilliant bastard, I think, on Instagram. I posted a photo of it, and I was like, well, that's a first. But putting it back together was quite an adventure. So I don't recommend going that way. I recommend just going in with a little Phillips screw, and you'd be surprised what you can accomplish there. Wow. We have to mention a couple of these comments here, because real quick.
We want to know Dean.
Yeah, please.
So Dean is a buddy of mine who's a big supporter of, well, music in general, and he's the Dean. I'm doing it, man. I'm calling you out. He's the production manager for the band Yes.
Yes.
And he said, he goes, this is not a question. He's very accurate about his statement. This is not a question, but I wanted to say you killed it at the Wetlands show that I worked. It was very cool. Thank you, Charlie.
Wow, thank you. That's very cool.
That was Wetlands closed years ago, right? So that was forever ago. And then Scott, do you want to read out Scott's question? This is a wonderful question to potentially end with. Do you see it?
Yeah. I said Scott asked your experience on tour. Which country has the best fans?
This is a trick question, right?
Oh, Scott, what were you thinking with that question? Love you.
So, oh man, I don't want to not insult any other countries or cities or whatever, but I have to say that when we go down to South America, it's just off the hook. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. And they're just very passionate about their music and their metal, especially. And that's one of the places that it's definitely different when we go play there. Yeah. I mean, we did a full South American tour with Iron Maiden a couple of years ago, and we were on the plane with them and everything like that. And I'll tell you a funny story really quick to end with. We played El Salvador, and we could not leave the hotel because people said it's not safe for you to go walking out there. So we're like, okay, so we'll stay here. So the next day we played the big soccer stadium, and it was amazing. It was just like another amazing show down there. The next day, the president or the vice president, or was the vice president who came? I don't remember. He was there in the lobby to see us off and to tell us that he wanted to thank us for the show yesterday. And it was us and Iron Maiden down there. And he said, yesterday in El Salvador, there was no crime because all the criminals were at your show. And
oh my gosh.
And we were like, awesome, So
great, but they all paid money to buy tickets. So fantastic, right? That's good.
So good. No crime.
That's crazy. Hi-Fi Turtle said, he goes, I bet you, he called Argentina, but okay, South America.
I mean, some of the best places, of course, are down there. Chile is amazing. South America, like I said, El Salvador, Argentina, Sao Paulo, going to Japan, Germany, the UK, Italy, these places are just they're the best fans. They love music and they don't care. They'll stand out in the rain or the cold or whatever it is, man, because just want that vibe, want that
Right.
feeling.
Excellent. There are two last quick ones here. So let's see. First, Don. What was it? Don 666. He's definitely all for the vinyl releases of the quarantine jams. And Johnny, I want to just ask the question he's asking here: is there any more Big Four tours planned?
No.
Good question.
Yeah.
No, at the end of the day, it's really not up to us. I have in the other room, I have this red phone that just says Metallica on it, and if it rings, okay, just where is it? Okay, we'll be there. Thanks. Talk to you guys later. And then that's the bat phone. But it's all up to them, really. It's really not up to us.
Right. I did actually. I did see Scott Ian at an airport. I think it was at Heathrow a couple of years ago, but it was also at like 5 a.m. So we were on the same flight, and I couldn't bring myself to go say hi to him. I just felt like, God, of all the times to say, "Hey, dude, I'm a really big fan," it's like I'm gonna look like the biggest jerk in the world. So I just told people after I got off the flight, I said I was on the same flight with Scott Ian. It was so freaking cool.
That's awesome. But just to go back, those Big Four shows that we did was some of the most amazing shows, and just the whole thing surrounding it was just so special. And of course, with Slayer being gone now, it makes it that much more harder to actually put one on. But you never know. If some of those guys get the vibe again, maybe we'll do them, because I always felt that we should have did a proper kind of American run and then go down to Australia, Japan, just give everybody a taste of these four bands and what it was like to hear all this metal.
It is one of the shows I kind of regretted missing, because there was the Coachella, there was the Stagecoach, and then next week was Coachella for the next 2 weeks, and then it was the Big Four right after that. Yeah. And we had gone to Stagecoach that time, and then the next year we went to Coachella. Got to watch out for that Stagecoach show, though. Wow, those ladies, those country ladies, a lot of those older country ladies that really wanted me to get. If I get in the way of their view of Kenny Chesney, I'm screwed. So they're aggressive. But I was like, wow, you should come to the Big Four. You'd probably do pretty good there.
You'd be safer there than at Stagecoach, that's for sure.
Yeah, great. Definitely. Cool. Well, hey, Miko, you got any last minute questions or?
No, we just have one lovely comment from Scotty Lylander, who says, "Awesome interview. Thank you so much." So we've got a lot of people watching who really appreciate your time, Charlie, and really take you and your music to heart, and just know that you're very appreciated, and can't wait for you to be out there again in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. I really appreciated this. This was fun. And thanks everybody for tuning in and listening.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you, everybody. For anybody that's catching this on the replay, because Charlie, we leave these up, right? They're live now, but they won't be as soon as we hit end broadcast. If there's a question afterwards, we generally make it a practice to pass it along, just in case if it's something relevant or educational that people can feel free to ask, and perhaps you can answer it later.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Well, in that case, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to The Gear You Hear. We will be back in 2 weeks, because this is every other week. So not the 17th, but the help. I can't add. It's too early. The 24th, right?
Yeah.
I need some of Charlie's coffee. I've had tea all day long. This is ridiculous.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And Charlie, thank you so very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Yes. I appreciate it too. Thank you.
Special thanks to the team at Headrush for helping facilitate this and for being so awesome. And to all you guys and gals out there for all your great questions. Keep it up. keep creating music, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.